Okay, this is about what I'm reading right now. And incidentally, we're in my office, which is a closet, and a luxurious one by New York standards. This whole place here has 700 square feet, and my New York friends are no doubt very envious now. Okay, let's see. Speaking of New York friends, my first book I'm going to mention was given to me by her. Perhaps more about her later. She gave me a copy years ago of a book by J. Paul Getty, the oil man, and it was called How to Be Rich, and I've just finished it for the third time. He's he's got a lot of very valuable lessons for um, life in general, not just making more money than the next person. He made his an example would be that he simply observes that he made his first million basically while sleeping in his car on job sites. A very single-minded individual, and that's largely what you need to make a living as he did. And in fact, as a friend of mine once said, it's not just hard to make a living in this way or that way. It's just plain hard to make a living. It requires a rare amount of dedication, and that was a great book, which I'll no doubt read at least a few more times before packing it in. Also, let's see, I just finished reading that. What I'm reading right now, among other things, is, well, I'm actually preparing to read. For going back to college, I have to prepare for that by getting a lot of Shakespeare under my belt for a Shakespeare class, and I'm renting every DVD that I can locate to get at least two or three versions of every major play under my belt. And the more I learn and relearn or learn for the first time of Shakespeare, the more I realize where everybody's been ripping off their titles from. And of course, many phrases of still everyday use have come from him who recorded or invented them for the first time. Let's see, what strikes me as particularly good renditions in film of Shakespeare plays so far would be certainly the Olivier version of both Hamlet and Richard III. Those are pretty good. The Mel Gibson version of Hamlet is pretty good, which you wouldn't expect being so recent, but that was done in the 80s, I believe. That's not bad. The version with Anthony Quayle that the BBC did of Henry IV is pretty good, both parts. That's him as Falstaff, of course. Haven't seen the Orson Welles take on that yet, Chimes at Midnight, but all of the profs are recommending it, so I'll get to that. Okay, other things that a case of actually having reread recently was a Jerry Soule science fiction book called Costigan's Needle, which was written in the early 50s. I find that a lot of science fiction is a lot like Elvis. The further back you go, the better it gets. In the case of Costigan's Needle, it's about people being marooned in an area and having to fend for themselves, kind of like the Jules Verne Mysterious Island. I've seen a couple of film versions of that, and again, I would recommend the book. Let's see, what else? There has been, as opposed to a spy novel, I am reading a report on the actual, for real, KGB, and I'm sure it's all the same people now, they're just calling it something different, but there's something called The Sword and the Shield, the Mitrokin Archive, which has been out for less than 10 years. I believe, let's see, Christopher Andrew is the name of the principal writer in that, but Mitrokin cooperated with him. Mitrokin was an archivist in the KGB and snuck out to Great Britain with a lot of notes. In perusing those, you can see the interior workings of a lot of operations of the KGB in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the principal periods that Mitrokin covered. And I find it much more engrossing than even the best of science fiction, excuse me, not science fiction, but spy novels, because In the case of the spy novels, the Cold War is revealed to be not just dangerous, but a whole lot like high school rumors. He said, she said, they said, they said. There's a whole lot of subterfuge going on, which is not so foreign as one might expect. And another book that I just finished reading was out of a category that I feel very close to. That would be autobiographies of Hollywood figures. And this particular one was from the British actor Dirk Bogarde, and it's called Snakes and Ladders. He wrote something like a dozen biographies or books of a biographical nature in one way or the other. He's particularly interesting because although he was a heartthrob in the 50s, he tried to do serious or more seriouser stuff in the 60s and with some success did it. He was a good friend of a fascinating woman, female actor of the time called Capucine. She went by one name, a French actress. And probably the best thing that I've seen committed to film that she did was a very interesting comedy, at least interesting with respect to her part. She was the conniving wife of Peter Sellers in the first Pink Panther movie. I recommend that you look that up for that. Very, very clever stuff. And so that's it for the moment. That's either what I'm reading now or just finished, and more later.